Welcome to my virtual tour. I hope you enjoy the journey. Here are some poinsettias, which were originally introduced in this country from Mexico by Mr. Poinsett, who was an ambassador. Here are some beech trees, treated like a watercolor. And a little more distant shot. European peasants loved beech trees. They decompose so slowly, and they would stuff their mattresses with the leaves. Here are some chrysanthemums, which are very popular by the florist industry, a nice fall scene. And we're going to visit some camellias. Camellias come in red, white, pink, and they sport. They have colors all in between these colors. Here's one that's called Captain Raw's, and a different angle of the same plant. And here's a nice white one coming up. As I mentioned, they come in white, pink, and red, and have sporting variations in between. In fact, here's an example of that, converted into a nice watercolor. Speaking of Canterbury bells, a lovely plant, and I can't wait for the spring to see some cherries and some forsythias flowering once again. Where I live, there are many weeping oriental cherries. Here's one that almost looks like fireworks, made in 1997, my photo. Another lovely cherry. And here are some these pictures are changing too fast. We just saw some dicentra, some bleeding hearts. Here we are seeing some foxgloves, and here's our resident red-tailed hawk. Here are some hostas being switched around for you. Meanwhile, back at winter, here is a very windy, snowy scene. And speaking of dogwoods, you always can tell them by their bark. And back to some nice warm lilies with some Canterbury bells. And meanwhile, it's still fall over here. French place built in the mid-50s. In fact, here's a temporary road that gets you there. We have many events, including car shows and dog shows. Meanwhile, it's still fall in the greenhouses, and it's still fall by our hay barn, or by the children's playhouse, with the poinsettia still growing inside. There are many varieties of those plants. Here's a nice reflection. This is called the wishing well, and it's right next to this reflecting pool garden. Notice the palm trees and some tropical plants. Echinacea and coneflowers. This is totally extemporaneous, that's why I'm not getting everything in, but meanwhile it's June and the roses are flowering. In fact, the next few are all roses, and this one was converted into like a watercolor or a pastel, very soft. And here's one that's a bit impressionistic as we look up towards the sky. The same with the next one. Ah, June. You know, I sure hate to see that evening sun go down. Tulips come from the genus Tulipa, which means turban in Arabic. A nice warm view of our west lawn. And speaking of wisteria, and that's about it. Happy trails to you. Hope to catch you again soon. See you next time.